Okay, we are back.
Are we live?
We are live
Hi
right
everyone, we had to do a reset, sorry about that, we had a technological issue, but we're back with Suzy Tubbs, our current councilwoman, so welcome to the show, Suzy. It's very
Thank
nice
you.
to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Deborah. This is amazing, and what a great building and history here, and Deborah gave me the tour. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, well you've lived here your whole life and you've done some amazing things for our community. You've led the Payson Community Kids for years, that's a not-for-profit that helps take care of children after school. So thank you for your service on that. That's
Thank
a
you.
huge
Thank
commitment.
you. Thank you.
And you're also a fellow realtor.
Yes.
And a highly respected one at that.
Yes, thank you.
And we've been watching you in these council meetings, and I think it's important for people to know from your perspective, because you're on the council now, what is really going on from your humble perspective. So I'm just gonna open the floor to you.
I feel that the residents, constituents, and the stakeholders in our community, whether it be the residents or businesses, I feel that they are not always listened to, and it's the majority of the time. And this has become very apparent. It became very apparent, Deborah, when the town of Payson meetings, council meetings, and other boards and commission meetings were kept closed 3 months longer than any other entity.
It was very frustrating.
It was. And this made it very difficult because the reasoning for this, and I fought for this, for them to be open. Because you and I know many of your viewers, don't always have the best internet to be able to go on and do a Zoom and watch a Zoom video. Then it was, well, Suzy, they can watch it on Channel 4. Channel 4 is only available if you have Suddenlink. So I have a different provider, okay, as well do a lot of other people. So that really leaves people out. And not just that, we are in a community that has a lot of older adults and seniors, and so many of them they do not operate a computer, much less know how to work Zoom. And I'm talking about this into knowledge because I'm talking about my parents. My parents, if I told my dad to watch a meeting on Zoom, he would completely glass over. That's not an answer. During this time, the school board, PUSD, Payson Unified School District, their board meetings, their governance meetings were open to the public. 2 of those board members on that board are also on our town council. And so, but yet everyone, the majority, I should say, of our council was concerned, and therefore we had to keep the meetings closed.
And during that closure, what was really going on? Tell me. I mean, because there's a lot of things, I think, why people got upset
Yes.
from being on the streets here. People were upset because they were passing some things without consultation from the people who they're working for. Big decisions.
Yes.
Like the pool.
The pool.
That's a huge frustration for families and grandparents. So talk about that for a moment, would you?
The pool, I'm still extremely salty over this, Deborah, so you'll probably hear, I tend to get a little bit passionate about it. Because we are talking about children, right? And a safety factor of them being able to have swim lessons in our community. And not just that, Taylor Pool has a history. And this wasn't something new to close Taylor Pool. They've known this for years and years and years that there were issues. And so we had constituents and residents willing to pay for an outside organization to come in and tell us how much it would cost to fix Taylor Pool. So I requested that this be on the agenda with a council member, Ferris. And we had done this several times because we kept getting, kind of a no, it got put off to a next meeting, let's do some more research. And then, before we opened up the meetings to the public, one of my fellow council women, she made a motion to go ahead and demolish Taylor Pool because the residents were requesting this once again. Because we don't, when something's important to us, it's not okay just to shut up and walk away and to have passion about it. In our children's lives, in exercise, this should be very important, not just for the kids, but also our older adults.
Can you tell me which councilwoman that was?
Jolynn Shinstock.
And she was the one that recently wanted to shut down all the waste management companies and take it down to one,
Yes,
correct?
That was her and Barbara Peterwood, correct.
So how did she get so much, how can one councilwoman have that much power where they can say, shut it down? I mean, she's not been in town but maybe 7 or 8 years, so,
Right.
and she has children.
Right.
So why do you think she was so passionate about that? Does she have a special interest alliance, or?
Well, the comment that we heard in meetings back, the concern about opening it up, well, actually it wasn't a comment. We received a letter from the MHA that possibly they would be willing, or they would be looking at redacting their ability to work with us if we were going to even consider opening a new pool, resurfacing the pool, covering the pool, whatever it was we did. And so I truly feel that it was, our hands, they felt, maybe they felt their hands were tied, I'm not sure, this is my opinion. And so I just don't feel that it was done with a lot of thought and without the constituents' minds or their hearts, involved. This just was not right at all. It was almost like, and you can relate to this being a mother, that when your kid comes to you and says, Mom, I want to go play, Mom, I want to go play.
Yes.
And finally you say, you know what, you're going to your room. That's almost what it felt like. That I have this power, we have this power, and that's what we're doing. We're going to shut you down.
So for those of you who are new viewers, I'm just going to put it out there, having run for town council myself and experienced the backlash of special interest groups in this town, you need to know that we have an undercurrent here. And they are only doing things to benefit themselves. And as of this moment, the town council is very slighted. The scales are balanced in their favor. So I can concur with what Suzy's saying, that there is a struggle. Is it gonna be we the people getting our needs met and having a voice,
Right.
or is it gonna be special interest groups continuing on their path? So that letter, by the way, it feels like bullying. I mean,
Yes.
just to wield your arm and say, if you don't do this, then we're gonna take away the power. And I was at several of these meetings, and I did hear Jolynn Shinstock very angrily say that the pool needed to be shut down. So anyway,
Right.
continuing on this path that where you're at, from your perspective, she motioned to close the pool,
Correct.
and the votes, who voted yes to shut down the pool?
It was Jolynn, Barbara, Scott, and Chris.
Chris Higgins, yeah.
Yes.
All fans of
Yes.
the MHA.
Yes.
That makes it abundantly clear.
Right.
Okay, so moving on.
Yes. Yes.
You have a heart for the people. You've
Right.
worked your whole life. You're doing things for kids. You're trying to listen to people on the streets.
Right.
People coming to you. What do you think the solution is to get the constituents that you represent the voice that they desperately need? So talk about that.
So, first and foremost, come the primary election even, you need to know who you're voting for and who those people are aligned with. And it was a real wake-up call for me to see some interesting people that are backing some of the individuals that I'm running against and that's also running for mayor. There's a large number that are also MHA, Chamber of Commerce, things like that. So the first thing people need to do, and I know that, there's some people out there that I've talked to that feel, why should they vote? Because their vote does not matter. Their voice is not heard. Well, the first thing you can do is get out there and vote, because that's the first step. We need to have people in there that are going to listen to you and to your concerns. Over and over and over again, this is a problem that we've had in town council. And the last 4 years is nothing new of that. It has been a struggle with that. And definitely the last 2 years, there has been a person that's on council that's running for another spot, is running for mayor. And he said that he does not need to listen to the people. These are his words. He does not need to listen to the people. And because the people voted him in to make those decisions for them. But I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. They did elect you and had you.
But that was 8 years ago.
That was
That's
8 years
not
ago.
now.
And when there's big decisions, it needs to go to a vote of the people. When it comes to a tax increase, a big decision of shutting down one of our oldest, largest amenities that we have and not trying to repair it is absolutely not at least allowing and listening to the people that are
Paying the taxes. Number one, paying the taxes for it.
Yes.
So we have a microcosm basically of what we're seeing on a federal scale that, we the people obviously are not speaking up enough. But
Correct.
they're trying to, what you're saying, they were trying to block it for a long
Yes.
time, but they can't do it now. The council meetings are open. So if you care about what's going on, you need to attend the council meetings. What I have done, especially when it came to this garbage truck, and your husband owns Roadrunner.
Correct. That is, my husband does own one of the waste removal companies in Payson.
Right. So if they approve this, they're gonna put out smaller mom and pop businesses, all for one company, Waste Management. So, how did that feel when that all went down?
It was nothing simple. It was just nothing but simply a retaliation move. It was put on the agenda by two of the councilwomen, and we had almost 200 people show up at that meeting. The council chambers were full. The hallway was full all the way to the bathroom, and people were outside. People are angry because people want to have a choice. And they were not all Roadrunner customers either.
No.
They were even waste management customers, but they did not like, what was upsetting to them is the fact that this is something done. It's obvious that it's a retaliation move, and that it was done to attack me. And that's, that is part of the risk and that's part of the benefits that go with the job, folks, is that you get these kind of things. It's unfortunate, but it's not hurting just Roadrunner.
Right.
It's not just hurting myself, my husband. It's hurting 6 of his employees, full-time employees, plus it's hurting his mechanics. It's hurting all the people, the local people that he buys materials from, okay? The $400,000 a year in fuel that he buys locally, which 18.5% of that comes back to the town of Payson in tax revenue that's supposed to be used on our roads, okay? In addition, it just goes on and on. He also supports anything to do with kids, children, animals, vets, and so again, it's not just him being attacked. They're going to do and put this out and damage the other smaller companies as well. And so, and that's exactly what it is. Deborah, it's supposed to be we the people. That is what America is about. And it was a great demonstration that 200 people showed up to have a voice. And again, unfortunately, 4 people chose not to listen that evening.
The same four. So there's definitely an agenda going on, and if you stand up to that agenda, they bully you, they
Right.
humiliate you, they issue cease and desist letters, right?
Right.
That's exactly what happened to me when I ran for town council.
Right.
They buy your building and make sure you're gone,
Right.
which is a godsend to me because now I'm here.
Yes.
So I am living proof, people, that this entity that is trying to control everything is also trying to destroy small business people, people who have lived in Payson a long time, like
Right.
myself. I've lived here 22 years now.
Right.
You've been here your whole life, and they only want people that will sway the vote to a certain agenda. So this is serious, people, very
Yes.
serious. If you don't believe me, I did a live Facebook video of that meeting. I was standing in the door and I held my arm out for like an hour until all heck broke loose.
I have no idea how that
And
happened.
and it was done.
Yeah.
So if you want to see that meeting, go to my Facebook page at Deborah Rose, and you'll get to see it. You got to go back a couple of months, but it's definitely there. See, watch for yourself. Do your own due diligence. You don't have to
Yes.
believe what Suzy's saying, although she's highly credible. She is in the thick of everything, and
Right.
she's experiencing retaliation and some things that we don't want to see in this friendly, small town.
Right.
So a suggestion that I have continuously made, especially in my campaign,
Right.
and I know you're a big fan of this too, because when you have nothing to fear, we need to do a forensic audit. Let's just level the playing field. Let's take away the people.
Right.
It's not about you.
No.
It's not about them. It's about what has been going on in the town, and let a third party that's an expert in municipalities come in and do a forensic audit of this town for the last 10 years. And let's just see where we end up.
Right. Right.
Right?
And that was something that we were going to, it was on the radar 4 years ago. And I think it was very important then. I think it's just as important now, because I think we would find out. And I do believe we have amazing staff that work there, Deborah.
Yeah.
Dedicated, loyal people that really love working and serving the people in the community. And so it's not necessarily them, it's, can we tweak policies? Can we go back and see, okay, we really messed up. This is the track record of things like the Taylor pool. That stuff will come out. And how to cut costs where maybe we're overspending in areas, or we've double spent, and we can clear those things up.
How is the morale of the working class? Because, it's always the working class that I feel are the most important people. I mean, they're under the heavy thumb of leadership. So
Right.
tell us your impression of that.
So I know that there's a few issues, going on. We have lost a lot of people especially the last year, from one reason or another. We actually lost a lot of people due to retirement. A couple of them were upset over management and the leadership, and so they decided to take their retirement early. And it's difficult because as you've been an employer and I've been an employer, there's always two sides to every story. However, when you continually hear that people are not happy, it is a little concerning. And one of the things that I mentioned before that I kind of have some issues with is we have been working on 6-8 months on this policy manual. And in this policy manual, we, the council, are basically not allowed to speak to town staff. So without the permission or the town attorney or town manager being there, with this policy manual, it does come across and feel, and I've stated this before, that I work for the town manager, that the town manager does not work for the council. And many of you may or may not understand, the mayor has only a few powers. so to speak, that's different than the council. One, he runs the meetings, okay. Two, he also is the person that was to appoint or nominate and appoint members to certain boards and commissions. Over the years, councils have done this, and mayors have done this, and it's been, they've been able to put whoever they thought was the best person to put forward in those positions, whether it be Parks and Rec, Planning and Zoning, all these different committees that we have, Airport Commission. And in this new policy manual, it's been changed that the entire council now votes and appoints these individuals. So that means that it's whoever, it really is. If you watch the meetings or come to the meetings, and I extremely encourage people to do this. They're not fun always.
Be
They're
informed.
You gotta be informed, but you will recognize and see that, these four always vote this
Same.
way. And it's amazing because it's like they immediately know it's like a race to hit the button to get called upon. I nominate so-and-so, and then one of the other four will say, I second it. Well, it passes. And so it is almost like just a feeling of just not being able to accomplish and represent in a full manner the way that I feel should be done
And they're
for a community.
Yeah, and they're also kicking off people that have been volunteering for years when they
Right.
challenge these committees
Yes.
and don't agree with them. So this is not healthy at
No.
all. This is pathology at its finest.
This is,
And-
again, it makes it feel like retaliation. Well, if you're
Exactly.
going to go against what I have to say, guess what? You're out of here. And I know that that's what they would love to do to me.
So if you don't agree with us and believe what we believe,
Mhm.
we are gonna kick you to the curb.
Right.
So let's talk about the budget for a second, because we're trying to pass Prop 408 because the town does need more money, right?
And
We
that
do need
is,
that.
we
But
need that, yes.
But what was shocking to me is in a recession, when we're in a
Correct.
recession,
Yes, we're entering into a
why
big one.
in the heck do they need? Why is it that the budget jumped from 49,500 and 11,000 to now $59 million? What?
Mhm.
What are they doing? What are you guys doing?
Well,
It's maybe not be you, but
no, unfortunately, because I couldn't. There's some things I fought against, and I'm not the only one, But I was very frustrated because we have let's start with, there is a good reason for some of it.
Okay.
We did give our employees a increase in bringing them up to the real market. Okay,
So they
place.
get salary
Wages
Wages,
that has been needed for a long time to retain and to keep our good loyal employees. And you think about that, and our emergency services are needed.
yes.
So that was one thing. However, that wasn't $9 million, was it? One of the things is a new procurement officer. Procurement officer is someone who purchases all the toilet paper, paper towels, copy paper for the entire organization, and helps with other contracts. However, that's a $96,000 position with benefits.
Oh my God.
So you're adding, it's like 120. I think it ends up to being 122,000. Yeah.
That's insane.
And Jim Ferris and I, and Jim is a great guy. Jim and I do not always agree. I mean, we had a little battle last night at council, and so we do not always agree. But our moral compass is in alignment, and so we did not vote in favor of the town manager's, the increase in his salary of $40,000.
Again?
No, that would be it's coming up. It'll be coming up. It's coming up in October, and who knows with the election if they may push it up to after the election's over, the general.
What's the salary now?
180. 180 plus, plus. us.
No. I mean, we are a tiny town on a limited budget.
I mean,
If you do a study on different town managers that have a much bigger responsibility, they make maybe 150 to 180, maybe. This is ludicrous spending. I mean,
we have just in that little area, we're talking almost $1 million. When you talk about our town manager, our assistant deputy town manager, our assistant, and they have assistants, plus vehicles, and they're not driving a $20,000 or, they're driving a $60,000.
Tell me about that. Don't they get new vehicles like every year or two?
Depends. It does kind of fluctuate, and then they kind of pass them around. Cameron Davis will tell you that for many years ago, a Parks and Rec they finally in this budget are getting a new vehicle. When I first came on council, I did ride-alongs and I went to every department and spent the day with them, right? So just to see, okay, what it is you guys do, because, here I am, I'm, supposed to know what you do, and I really need to see what it is you do. So, Courtney took me for a ride in this little truck, and there was no seatbelt. And I'm thinking, well, this is brilliant.
That was Cameron's truck.
You mean it started?
You mean it started.
So it's like there's all these things, but finally this year they're getting a new vehicle, which is bless it. God forbid someone got into an accident in a vehicle with no seatbelts, and we have a law. So,
well, we don't abide by laws very well here. That's what we're finding out. So whatever.
It's. I tell you, it is. It's gotten to. It is such a struggle, and sometimes, to be honest with you, a year ago I said, I'm not rewriting. This is really hurt. I had friends, and some of you were probably watching that I thought we were friends, and I found out after I was on council, apparently we're really not friends.
Oh yeah.
And
it's shocking because you're vilified to such an extent that there's people treat you like the plague. Trust me, it happened to me, and I didn't even make it into council. God help you.
Because you speak your mind.
Right, if you're an independent thinker.
Yeah. But I have realized that those people that have been there, they are my real friends. Because, I'm not perfect. I have made mistakes. And I know I have voted for things I probably should have really dug into. But it took me 3 years to really learn what was available to me, what resources I have, that I'm allowed to say, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable voting on this tonight. And I'm sorry, I want to put this off because I want to listen to the people that came here and they're really upset that they felt they had no notice of this. And that's what happened last night.
You get ramrodded a lot. I noticed that these they're not bills, so we're not talking the state Senate here, but you get these votes that dropped into your lap, and there's no time to do any due diligence, and yet they insist on voting. So tell us what happened last night.
Last night, we had it was the water department had brought before, we had purchased a piece of property up in Alpine Heights years ago. And it has our water tower that feeds Alpine Heights, and sometimes it can trickle off into other areas if needed. But the purpose of purchasing this land was to add another water tower there, and that if there's an issue, we can actually feed Houston Mesa, which is Mesa Del Caballo. Alpine Heights HOA was not notified of this. That this was on the agenda, because they're going to be putting up another one, and there's going to be, a driveway and things like that. And it was very passionate from the HOA. And I can tell you, in my experience in dealing with HOAs and also dealing with humans, right? How many times do people, when they get upset about something, is it usually because of a miscommunication or unknown facts.
Unknown miscommunication or non-communication.
Correct.
Those are the two top
that
reasons.
really get people upset. So I said, why can't we put this off? Give them 30 days notice from today. Let's put it off. It's not that this water tower has to go up tomorrow, and but give them some time. Let's have our ducks in a row so we can sit down with the group and say, hey, this is what we're doing, because I felt there was some miscommunication on both sides and non-communication. But it's not, and again, it's not really, I'm not blaming at all Tanner or the water department. I mean, I'm not siding with the HOA. It's just the process. It's the process.
Our country is built on due process.
Yes. And so, anyway, we actually were able to get that to be able to put on hold.
Good.
Another example was the budget. Increasing our airport fees. We were not just increasing them 5, 10, 15%. Some were 66%. And
I smell a lawsuit developing.
It was really bad because the board or the airport commission had recommended certain increases over a 5-year period, and we and the council too and the staff, which they were not brought into this particular budget meeting, and they should have. And so, so we go to approve the fees, and the airport commission comes, and they're very upset that we did not look at the numbers that they provided. Well, we didn't have all that information to us. That would have been very helpful.
Whose job is that to have brought all that information to the table?
That is the staff's job.
Okay.
That is the staff's job.
Okay.
And so, but now, and I asked, and I hope I'm going to have to keep this in my brain for next year if you all elect me.
Please do.
That in budget time, that each time we do something with a certain part of the budget, when there's a board and commission involved, they're part of this discussion.
Absolutely.
That was huge.
Absolutely.
And so by them being there, we were able to reverse it and go with their direction, because and this really rang true. The airport brings a lot of money to Payson. A lot of money. People fly here, and they'll fly their planes, and they'll buy homes. I mean, they'll do businesses. We have FedEx that comes in here every evening, and UPS. We have to really think about those things.
Yeah.
And the budget is a huge task, and I'm so thankful that I'm not the one having to sit back and crunch the numbers, but I relatively have to believe that there is that the people that are going to be paying these increases, that have the knowledge that myself and the other members on council and the staff do not have, they have the ability to have input. Very important.
That's very important. Okay, so we've got to wrap this up.
Already?
I would say keep rolling if you need to.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Oh, thanks, Cameron.
Wow, that was so quick.
Is Tom here?
No.
Tom's not here? Okay, good. So we got a few more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wonder if anyone out there has questions for Suzy, but let's talk about how people can learn more about you. Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page?
I have a website. It's tubsforcouncil.com. My Facebook is tubsforcouncil.com. But honestly, if you call me at 928-978-3256, call me. I am not opposed to meeting with you or chatting with you over the phone. It's not something that's new since election time. It's something that I do quite often. And just to be able to hear what your concerns are and your issues that you have. And, and unfortunately, I think we all have issues.
No.
Right?
Not me.
Right?
Of course we do.
But I may not be able to help, but maybe I can guide in the right direction, but at least I can listen to what you have to say.
Yes.
And, and sometimes that's all people need is to feel that they've been listened to.
Yeah, well, in customer service and psychology, I mean, the first, when someone's upset, they need to be heard.
Right.
And they have to be validated.
Right.
And it sounds like the town is frustrated, the concerns of the people,
right,
by not allowing them to speak, or they just allow just a very limited, tiny little handful of people to speak. But still, what are other venues that people can take to change the atmosphere in the town? Let's talk about the election now, because it's upon us. Some of you have voted early.
Yes.
Some of you will be voting on August 2nd. So from your heart to their heart, just speak to them. Speak to them why they need to vote for you, and if there's anyone else that you feel that is fighting the good fight for the constituents.
Right. Well, I feel that the reason why you all should re-elect me is because that I have been truthful and honest, and have really, in my heart, have tried to help and make a difference. And it's unfortunate the last 2 years, I honestly feel that I failed because my vote has not been able to be in representation of the people, because I've been kept back, and that's an unfortunate thing to happen. I do believe that, Jim Ferris and Steve Otto are both, like I said, I do not agree with them on every one of their, their items that they talk about. And Jim and I certainly don't always agree upon the dais. But we can agree and walk away and still be civil. And I can explain to him why I'm so passionate about something, and he does me. And we, and sometimes he'll have something that kind of makes sense to me, and vice versa. And, and I think that, again, those two, we all have the same moral compass. And Mr. Otto was, looking at that, I felt that he was retaliated against because he spoke publicly about his disregard for what happened with Taylor Poole, and that he felt he was not told the truth. And, I'm sorry, but, people we're human, and he is allowed, last I checked, Payson, Arizona is still within the United States of America, and his freedom of speech.
It's a little sketchy.
It is, because it's like, just throwing tape over your mouth.
Yes.
And so it's very, very sad. But I think that they really do. They have good hearts. And Steve is a great digging in, and I mean, he showed me some of his information. He's got information on everything that you can think of about the town. And that's what we need. We need people like that, and that care, and that are going to see you at Safeway and Walmart or wherever, and be happy to say hi and shake your hand.
Absolutely. I agree. And we're all supposed to be, independent thinking is supposed to be the number one quality of anyone that is fighting for constituents, is fighting for you. So tell me, on this team of council members, do you have any kind of connection or relationship with other council members if you disagree on a vote? I mean, how are you treated or not treated based on a vote?
Well, I can tell you that, I can tell you that with the two female council women, Jolynn has never spoken a word to me. And
that doesn't surprise me though.
And with Barbara, every time myself, Tom, or Jim are speaking, and even when individuals are up on, come up to speak their 3 minutes or have, she's talking. And this happened last night, and I finally had to say, Barbara, could you please stop, because I cannot hear what's going on. I cannot hear people talking, and trying to gauge reaction, body language when you hear people, just blurting out things or talking to, the person to her left. That's rude and disrespectful. Chris Higgins has not spoke to me, really actually since I've been on council. I know that now Scott and Osick, we're very cordial to each other. It's a total different maturity and feel. It's, hey, we disagree, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I know Scott is one of the only ones that, other than Jim and yourself, that respond to their emails to the constituents. So I give Scott a lot of credit for that.
Right.
He likes to keep the dialogue open, and
Right.
that's what it's supposed to be. But it's unacceptable for the non-communication between the council members. I mean, it's very childlike behavior, and it accomplishes nothing for the people. So I would say, in wrapping this up, that I think we've made it abundantly clear that there are people on our council and in the government that is here locally, that there are some issues.
Right.
So I completely endorse you, and I would highly recommend that people vote for Suzy Tubbs. She's been doing an awesome job. She's catching a lot of flack for it. There's some things that people don't know, that when you're in the political arena, it is brutal. I mean, it is brutal. And so be praying for her. Be spreading the word about her. Jim Ferris, phenomenal advocate for the people. I do agree that Steve Otto is also got significant potential as a very successful business owner, and he does tremendous research.
He does.
And there's just something about him that I trust. Yes?
Just 1 minute.
One more minute? Okay, so we want to thank you for joining us today. Once
Yes.
again, Suzy, tell people where they can find you.
Oh, Suzy Tubbs wrong website. Tubbsforcouncil.com. Also Facebook, Tubbs for Council, and then call me 928-978-3256. And the only time I do not answer is if I'm with a client out of the area or with my folks. So
Just leave a message. I mean,
or text.
thank you for your service. I know how hard it's been.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
And you have to come take a look at Deborah's office. This is gorgeous and great location. Better.
Thank
Much
you.
better.
So thank you for joining us today. Once again, if you want to find me, I'm at PaysonEasyProperties.com. It's been a pleasure having you today. Thank you for sharing and liking this show. Thanks again to Cameron and Chaz Davis. God bless you, and go vote.
Yes, thank you.